Okay, so Homestuck. If you browse like Tumblr or something, you've probably heard of it. It's about some kids playing a game, and there's like these gray kids who are also playing a game, which is the same game the kids are playing, but not really. Also, there's an apocalypse, and a bunch of really poorly drawn comics, and Muppets with huge butts, and well, it's really confusing. But all that aside, there's a lot of cool things about time travel in Homestuck. Cool things which Stephen Kern's writings can help us explain better. See, in his book, The Culture of Time and Space, he specifies 3 things which he believes makes up the nature of time: quantity, quality, and direction. Let's talk about that first one, quantity. In essence, Kern's talking about the amount of timelines present. In the case of Homestuck, there's a lot. Like, a lot! Timelines branch, start, end, you name it. This is where our bros the time players come in. Their job is to clean up timelines and close off doomed ones, which would lead their team to losing the game. These kids are playing a game, and this main, or alpha timeline, is supposed to be the best path to victory. They're essential to a good team for a lot of reasons, but especially because they're the only ones who can initiate a scratch, which resets the universe so that a different group of players from that planet can play. The Homestuck wiki describes this process as like creating an alternate timeline inside the alpha timeline, meaning that the scratch was destined to happen. So yeah, the timelines thing is really confusing. Then there's the second principle about the quality of time. Merriam-Webster defines quality as stuff like an inherent feature or a distinguishing attribute. In The Culture of Time and Space, Kern often makes notes of specific instances of this, like how the titular character of the picture of Dorian Gray will only retain youth as his portrait gradually appears older and vice versa. Here, Dorian's relationship with time is the inverse of that of his portrait. Homestuck's time is sprawling, yet it's consistent. Its defining quality is that while you can interact all over other unrelated timelines, everything is a stable time loop, meaning everything eventually causes itself. One notable example of this is when John finds a lab on an asteroid in the game and ends up creating himself, his friends, and their guardians. These babies are then shot off through portals to the day and place each was quote-unquote born. As a result, the kids get to play the game, and John goes on to make all the babies again. As Hussey puts it in Act 2 of the comic, the circle of stupidity is complete. Then there's the last one, direction. Where is it going? Multiple goals? One goal? Is it shaped weirdly? If you can't tell by now, Homestuck's continuity is all over the place. Like, the trolls spend their time post-session arguing with themselves and talking to the human kids at various points in their timeline. Sometimes they even physically go back and interfere with the past too. Like, in one part, John's class's powers send him back in time to earlier points of the story, and Andrew Hussey went back and inserted John into those scenes as they appeared in the comic. This all sounds important. I should go bookmark some things. But despite all this, and despite all the parallel Doom timelines, there's one main path that goes in one uniform direction. This is all barely skimming the surface of each of these parameters too. Hell, I could probably do separate videos on each one that are twice as long as this one, but hopefully this plainly explains Homestuck time travel in the context of Stephen Kern's writings. And hey, if not, I could always go back in time and change this video.